everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the show. Hope you guys have saved some room in that gas tank because it's time to go one more round with Rob. Here on today's show, I'm going to be giving you guys my take on a pair of championship bouts from a boxing card on DAZN this past Saturday afternoon. It took place over in England, so they were fighting at about, I think it was between 5 and 10 o'clock p.m. over on British time, so it was like between 1 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon into the evening here, which was amazing because I was able to catch this card and then hop right over to the UFC card. It was perfect timing for all of them. This card was headlined by Joshua Buatsi versus Daniel Dos Santos for the WBA International Light Heavyweight Championship, though. So we'll get to that fight in a second. Like I said, I got a pair of title fights coming for you guys. So the first one is going to be for the European Super Bantamweight Championship. It was Gamal Yafai versus Jason Cunningham. Yafai was was the defending champion on this bout. Jason Cunningham trying to come in and gain that European Super Bantamweight Championship of his own. And guys, Cunningham was successful in doing this. He was very successful. He really dictated this fight, which was, it was interesting in the manner in which he did it. It was definitely this fight definitely showed two different game plans. That one guy was having one game plan, one guy was having the other. I'll jump into that in a second here. But Jason Cunningham won by unanimous decision to become the new European Super Bantamweight champion. The judges there had, on their scorecards, they had it totaled 115 to 110 for Cunningham, was one judge's scorecard. The other two judging scorecards had it 114 to 111. Again, all three for Cunningham, winning by unanimous decision. I gave Cunningham all but 3 rounds, and a couple of these rounds were 10-8 rounds. So I gave Yafai rounds 3, 9, and 10. I gave Cunningham rounds 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. Again, guys, like I said, Cunningham really controlled this fight. Really controlled this bout. It was a tale of two different game plans coming in. Yafai came in and he was really from the get-go trying to land power punches. It almost looked like, he wanted to get Cunningham out of there at second 1 of the fight. And after that, he was just upset that he wasn't able to get him out of the fight at second 1 of the fight. Like Yafai really just kept going with the power shots. Cunningham, on the other hand, really did a lot of stick and moving, more or less, in his game plan. He would land. He got his 1-2s going super early in the bout, so he got his jab straights going super early, and I think that really helped him to establish himself as the guy that's going to control the contest. Because even in round 1, Yafai was loading up on a lot of his shots. And then, in the first 15 seconds of the bout, that Yafai loading up on his shots and kind of over swinging on some of them ended up being to Cunningham's advantage, because in the first 15 seconds, Cunningham started early landing a good 1-2. Guys, it was interesting to see, because Yafai never really changed up his game plan at all. Now, I will say this. At one point in the fight, I forget which round it was, but Yafai really starts having some success landing to the body. If I had to guess, I would probably say it was around 5 or 6, like towards those middle rounds there. If I realized that he could have some success landing to Cunningham's body, and Cunningham doesn't really, he doesn't like it. He just doesn't like it. Like, Yafai is landing to the body, and you can tell it's starting to bother Cunningham. And as the fight went on, it was the same thing. When Yafai would land to the body, he would land some good hard hooks to the body. Cunningham wouldn't like it. He would almost shut down for a second to regain himself, and Yafai just wasn't able to capitalize on it. You know, he I think in those opportunities they were missed opportunities for him, and I don't think he took advantage of them. Cunningham, on the other hand, took advantage anytime Yafai gave him an opening. Cunningham actually dropped Yafai 3 times in the first 6 rounds. So he dropped him in the 2nd round, he dropped him in the 4th round, and then he dropped him in the 6th round. So every other round he was dropping Yafai. And quite frankly, up until that point in the fight, up until the end of round 6, I was like, are we going to see Cunningham dropping Yafai every other round? Because at that point I was like, okay, well, I can expect him to drop him in round 8, round 10, and round 12 then, if he doesn't get him out of there sooner than those rounds. You know, it was very interesting, and it didn't look like either guy really deviated from their game plan as the fight went on. And I don't think Cunningham needed to deviate from his game plan. His game plan was working, obviously. Like I said, in the first 6 rounds, he dropped him 3 times. You know, and Cunningham wasn't known to be a power puncher, but he was able to land his shots cleanly because he wasn't loading up on all of them. He wasn't over swinging on them. And so when Yafai was doing that, he was able to say, okay, cool, here's my spot, bang, bang. Oh, look at that, now you're down again. You know, so I don't think Cunningham really needed to change his game plan. Yafai, on the other hand, I don't know why that his corner wasn't just overly saying, hey, we need to try something different. This isn't working. And maybe they were saying that, but he just wasn't listening. Either way, you know, if you are holding a championship title, regardless of, you know, whether it is the European Super Bantamweight Championship or whether it is, you know, the Heavyweight Championship of the world, if you're holding a championship title belt, you probably have an idea of when it is time to change game plan, when it's not working. And Yafai just wasn't, he wasn't changing game plans. He wasn't. Like I said, around the midway part of the fight, around like that round 5, 6, 7 area, Yafai does kind of realize, like, hey, if I go to the body a little bit, it bothers him, and that might be a good path for me to go. But he doesn't stay on it enough consistently, in my opinion, to make Cunningham change his game plan, make Cunningham change how he's fighting. Cunningham just stayed you know, he stayed the same. He stayed he had the same pace, the same consistency, round after round after round. And like I said, rounds 3, 9, and 10 I gave to Yafai. So in rounds 3, 9, and 10, Yafai did have some more success than Cunningham did. But the consistency of Cunningham was, he's going to take round 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. Like, that was the consistency of Cunningham. And then the rounds didn't feel like that slow. The rounds definitely felt like, ooh, this pace is going. And it was almost a question of, is Yafai trying to get Cunningham to run enough that eventually he gets tired? And that may have been their thought, but when you get the rounds, when you get the rounds 10, 11, 12, and you're down, you know, every round, but you're down all but 2 rounds, you know, every round but 2, in my opinion. You know, when you get to that rounds 10, 11, 12, then yeah, you're going to have to start swinging for the fences anyway. But even in rounds 10, 11, 12, Cunningham just didn't change his game plan. He may have been moving a little bit slower than he was in the previous rounds, but he didn't change his game plan. In my opinion, he didn't have to. You know, his game plan worked so well that the last 10, 15 seconds of the round, Cunningham ducks under I want to say it was a hook punch by Yafai. I could be wrong. But either way, he ducks under a punch by Yafai, and he really, literally just turns around, looks at Yafai, drops his hands low, puts his hands up over his head like he's already won the fight, and just moves away from him for the last 10 to 15 seconds. Doesn't throw a single punch after that. That's how well his game plan worked, and that's how confident he and his corner was that, hey, if we just don't get caught by this guy, we're going to win the title. And they did. it was an exciting fight. Yafai, like I said, had those moments, and Yafai had that power where it was like, oh, if this guy lands, he could put his lights out, like that. Like it could be over in milliseconds. So there was an excitement factor to the bout, but overall, Cunningham controlled the bout bell to bell. Minus those 3 rounds that I did score for Yafai, but even then, I don't feel like Yafai overly controlled those rounds. He controlled them enough for me to say, I can give him the round, but it wasn't like, in rounds 2, 4, and 6 where Cunningham was okay, and boom, boom, now you're down. So I don't think it was. It didn't surprise me how quickly the judges' scorecards came back, and I don't think at that point it was any question as to who was going to be the European super bantamweight champion walking out that night. Like I said, scorecards came back relatively quickly. No surprise there. Game plans were seen early in the fight, and neither man really deviated from them much. And like I said, I think that's the underlying reason why Yafai is no longer the European super bantamweight champion. Cunningham, his game plan worked to near perfection. I say near perfection because, like I said, he was getting tagged to the body, and he really didn't seem to have an answer for that other than to just kind of stay away from Yafai for a portion of the round. But that being said, not being there when Yafai was throwing power shots worked for Cunningham a majority of the night, and that's why he won the bout, was because when Yafai loaded up, he could see it, he moved, he got out of the way, and he wasn't there when Yafai finally threw the shot. That's definitely what, in my opinion, that's definitely what led to Cunningham getting the knockdowns on Yafai in rounds 2, 4, and 6. Honestly, I was surprised that Cunningham didn't finish the fight. I really was. I was expecting, once I saw those 3 knockdowns in the first 6 rounds, I was like, ooh, this fight might not last the whole 12. But Yafai did have a champion heart. He did power through. He did, do enough to survive to see the final bell, which I can commend him on. Like I said, he just didn't do enough to secure the defense of his title. But I think if these two do meet again at some point, I think Yafai is definitely going to start targeting that body of Cunningham early, because that's where he had success in this fight. Cunningham, if I were him, I'd work on that defense there. That seemed to be a hole that he just couldn't fill in the middle of the fight. And I think if other guys see this bout, then I think that's something that they're going to exploit. So overall, pretty competitive fight, pretty exciting fight, because you knew Yafai could end it at any time if he could just land on Cunningham, but not really a close fight, because Cunningham just he had his game plan. His game plan worked better that night, and he gained so much distance on Yafai. There wasn't enough time or ground to make it up for him. So congratulations, Jason Cunningham. Gamal Yafai, I hope you get the rest and relaxation that you need, get back in the gym and get to work, and maybe we'll see you back in the title shot again, and maybe it'll be against Cunningham, and maybe this time or next time things can go different and you can get the belt back from him. Who knows? But great job for both guys. Congratulations, Cunningham. I'm actually pretty excited to see what's next for these guys. So, going from one championship bout on to the second championship bout I got for you guys. Joshua Buatsi versus Daniel Dos Santos for the WBA International Light Heavyweight Championship. Like I said, this was the main event. Guys, this wasn't really competitive at all either. I did not expect both fights that I picked for you guys to not be competitive fights at all. This was not competitive at all. Joshua Buatsi defends his WBA International Light Heavyweight Championship. He retains it. He is still the WBA International Light Heavyweight Champion of the not the world, sorry guys, international, sorry, I get caught up sometimes. Still WBA International Light Heavyweight Champion. Buatsi really controlled bell to bell here. He actually won by knockout at 2:44 of round 4. So he won at the 2-minute 44-second mark of round 4. Won by knockout. Like I said, guys, this was not really competitive. Round 1, Buatsi was really controlling the center of the ring. He was going first. Dos Santos really didn't throw anything in the first round, or at least anything of value. Just allowed Buatsi to do pretty much whatever he wanted that round, and that just gave Buatsi the confidence to start rolling. Dos Santos does come out in round 2 and he does try to start throwing, but Buatsi's confidence was already so high because he controlled round 1 so easily that he just quickly takes control back of that. He starts throwing back at Dos Santos. He quickly takes control of the of how the fight is going to be paced. He drops Dos Santos with a body shot there in the second round. Dos Santos answers the standing 8 count, and Buatsi after that point really just controls the rest of the round easily. He actually clips Dos Santos again with about 30 seconds left, and that one stumbles him. But Dos Santos is able to make it to the bell. Round 3, this is where it got interesting because close to the end of the round, both guys get warned by the referee for some questionable clinching. So what happened here was they were up against the ropes. End up in a clinch situation. Buatsi's pushing down on Dos Santos' head, which you're not allowed to do. And Dos Santos in turn says, okay, cool. And he almost wraps Buatsi's legs up like he was trying to do a double leg takedown on him. Which Buatsi does fall. Dos Santos kind of stumbles over him. The ref immediately is like, whoa, hold on. Stop time. You're going to this corner. You're going to that corner. Don't do that again. You don't do that again. And it was shaping up to be that there was maybe some bad blood between the two. I don't think that was the case coming into the bout. And sometimes these things can occur in the middle of a bout, especially if you got a situation like that where one guy's pushing down on your head, the other guy wraps up his legs and dumps him when clearly it's illegal in that sport. So it was like, ooh, is this going to get a little heated? And maybe this is what Dos Santos needed to get going there. To be clear, I did not score any of the first 3 rounds for Dos Santos. I did not. I scored round 1 for Buatsi. I scored round 2 for Buatsi, obviously, because he dropped Dos Santos there. And then in round 3, I thought Buatsi did enough to control the round, so I scored the round for him again. Now round 4, this is where the fight ends. So Buatsi, he came out, he was throwing his shots early. Again, he had that confidence already. He clips Dos Santos with a glancing blow. It doesn't drop Dos Santos, but he does clip him. Like I said, glancing blow there, and he's really backing Dos Santos up in this round. Dos Santos is doing better at circling out and away from some of Buatsi's shots, but Buatsi's just marching him down. And then, like I said, it was the 2:44 mark, but it was with about 20 seconds left. Buatsi throws a double jab, overhand right, straight combo. So he goes a double jab, he throws the overhand right, and then he comes back with a straight punch. Knocks Dos Santos out. So in boxing, what happens when the guy gets a knockdown? There's an automatic. There's a guy there's an official, that's sitting ringside that as soon as the guy drops, he'll start the count, so that the ref in the ring telling the guy to go to a neutral corner can turn around. He says, okay, it's been 3 seconds, so the ref will pick up the count. 3, 4, 5. The ref doesn't even do that. the ref turns around to go to Dos Santos, and the ringside official has already had the count of 2, and the ref just says, no, it's done. It's waved off immediately, and that was the right call. Dos Santos was actually out. He was actually unconscious for at least a minute or two following the combo there. And to be honest with you guys, the straight that came after that overhand right, so like I said, Buatsi threw the double jab, he threw the overhand right, and then he came back and threw the straight. That straight that he threw at the end of the combo actually landed as Dos Santos was falling to the mat. Dos Santos was already knocked out at that point. Dos Santos was out after the overhand right. So that straight that landed, was it necessary? Or was it needed? No, it wasn't needed. Do I think it was necessary in the sport of boxing? Probably not. But when you're in the heat of things, when you're in the bout itself, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking, I have to land punches on this guy. I have to land more than him. I have to make sure that he is put away. And that's what Buatsi was doing. I don't think it was anything dirty. I don't think it was anything that, he was upset because Dos Santos dumped him with pretty much a double leg takedown in the third round. I don't think it was any of that. It was just the way that the combo went. And I was even surprised that Buatsi landed the that straight punch at the end of the combo there. Sorry guys, had a lapse in my brain to my mouth there. So I was surprised that Buatsi was actually able to land that straight as Dos Santos was on the way down. Normally when you see guys, throw a combo and they try to hit him one more time as the guy's on the way down, they miss. Not Buatsi though. Buatsi was like, nope, here you go, bing. So great defense for Buatsi. Really impressive that he just controlled from bell to bell, didn't really take too much damage at all. Dos Santos, after he kind of came back to consciousness, he was talking with the medical staff. He was you could hear him on the broadcast. He was answering the questions coherently. I forget what the one question the medical staff asked him was, and I can admit to this, being an athletic trainer and asking some of these concussion questions that, we ask now to kind of see where the person is cognitively. Some of the questions are kind of ridiculous. And they're really funny. And the answers I get back from some of my athletes, not the best situation to laugh in, but they're funny. So you got to have a chuckle. And so you can hear the medical staff. I didn't hear what the question was they asked him, but he answered the question. And he was like, he kind of gave him the answer in a manner of being of like, this is the answer. That was a dumb question. And you can hear the medical personnel that was asking him. He was like, I know, silly question. We just got to ask him. And I was just like, oh, he asked him one of those. Like some of them are like, the one that I love is like, hey, give me the years or give me the months of the year backwards. And 9 times out of 10, my athletes just stare at me like, Rob, I could probably, I have to say them forward to even remember what the month comes next in a normal situation. What do you want me to tell them backwards for? So it was probably something like that. Or a question of like what's your name or something like that. Questions that you ask to make sure that everything is still functioning the way it should in the brain. So like I said, answering coherently, which is promising. Hopefully that does not have lasting effects as well. Hopefully that doesn't hold him up too much from being able to get back to training and everything like that. I want him to heal as safely as possible, but like I said, I would also like to see him back training as well, because that's what athletes like to do, regardless of their sport. Like I said, Buatsi controlled the fight entirely, bell to bell. There wasn't a point where I thought he wasn't in control. Dos Santos did have, his couple of moments where he could land. Like I said, in the fourth round there, he was starting to get better at circling out and away from some of Buatsi's shots. Just got caught in the corner that time, and Buatsi just wasn't gonna let him get out of the corner that time. He was like, the only way you're getting out of this corner is if they count you out, and well, they didn't even really need to count him out because he put him to sleep. They did have that moment in the third round there where they had that what some would call dirty clinching between the two, and I wouldn't say necessarily it was dirty clinching. They were in the heat of the moment. It is what it is. But the two afterwards, like as soon as Buatsi saw that had the shape that Dos Santos was in after the knockout, he was so respectful. He was so respectful. It was amazing. No celebration until he knew that Dos Santos was going to be okay, that, you know, everything like that. And even in his post-fight interview, I'm pretty sure it was within the first couple of questions, he was just like, hey, I just hope he's healthy. I hope he's safe. You know, I don't want anything bad to happen to him. So Dos Santos, like I said, hopefully he heals up and he figures out where he wants to go from here. Buatsi, I mean, I think he needs to make a jump to a bigger name. I think him and his team and his management, they all want him to get to a world title conversation. I think in his next fight, he needs a bigger name than, you know, he needs a little bit of a bigger name, a little bit of a bigger challenge if he really wants to get into that world title conversation soon. So there it is, guys. Those are the pair of fights that I got for you guys. Like I said, 2 championship fights, 2 kind of not ultra competitive fights, but, you know, I thought they were, you know, interesting nonetheless. Still exciting, both for different reasons, but still exciting fights. Great way to end the night on that card. So, as always, guys, if you have any fight card suggestions for me to check out, drop them in the comments down below. Hop over to Facebook or Instagram. Over on Facebook, the page is One More Round with Rob. On Instagram, you can follow me at One More Round Rob. Hit me up over there, or drop a comment down below if you have a card coming up that you can think of that you think will be exciting, you want me to check out, and, you know, drop it in there. I'll take a look at it. Other than that, guys, stay happy, healthy, and safe. And congratulations, you just went one more round with Rob. Have a good one. We'll see you next time, guys.